The race for the U.S. Senate has been slow compared to the barn burners of years past. We had Lieberman-Lamont, we had Blumenthal-McMahon, and then Murphy-McMahon.
And this year, Chris Murphy is up for re-election, and the first Republican has come forward to challenge him. Dominic Rapini, a businessman from Branford, is here. It's still very early on, but I know that the sooner you get in, then you can make some decisions about direction and, more importantly, I guess, money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you want to be a U.S. Senator?
You know, I'm born and raised in Connecticut. You know, I'm a New Haven person. I've grown up here my whole life. I've coached football here for 30 years. I've been working in the technology industry for 30 years. That's where I met my wife and my family, and I care deeply about this state. I love Connecticut, and you know, and over the last decade, I've been watching things that just we're not going in the right direction. And you know, my family finally said, you know, Dad, instead of complaining about it, why don't you get out there and do something? So that's what I'm doing. I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm getting off the sidelines. And I want to take my business skills and take them to D.C. and provide a different perspective.
Chris Murphy has been around for a while, certainly in Washington politics, a congressman, a senator. Some even thought that he may entertain the notion of running for president someday. What's wrong with his style of government? What do you think that he's not doing for the state of Connecticut when it comes to representing our state?
Yeah, so for one thing, I think he's preoccupied with his next job. Right? He wants to be a president of the United States. If you look at his job history, you know, he's been right out of law school, he's been a state rep, a state senator, a U.S. congressman. He's been a U.S. senator. I mean, that's not a resume, that's a to-do list. And if you look at his style up there, he's very sensational. He out-tweets President Trump, for God's sakes. I mean, he's out there with
That's hard to do.
Very hard to do, right? But he accomplishes that every single day, and I know that because I follow him. And I don't enjoy his rhetoric. I don't think it's uniting us. I think it divides us, and I think he uses hyperbole to take us to a whole new standard. So those are things that need to be done differently.
He says he's not running for president. Do you believe him when he says that?
Well, he's a politician, so I don't think I would believe him. No, I don't believe you would just watch his trajectory and study it. It's clear what he's doing. I mean, he finds himself in front of a camera every single day, and that's the mark of somebody who. And you know, in the absence of a message, he's trying to build facial recognition, name recognition. He's branding right now, and he's not serving us.
One of the things that you mentioned, you're somewhat critical of Chris Murphy because he's not really been a businessman or had a regular job.
Right.
You have. You've been known to say that was one of the things that when Donald Trump ran for president that you were encouraged because of the fact that he also didn't have much or any political experience, and it was business.
Yeah. So I'm a pragmatist. And I believe in that we need to be to really serve the Connecticut. We have to be more. A trait that Donald Trump has taken to the White House. While I don't agree with his style of governance, I like some of the things he's doing. I like the tax plan that he's put out there. It's simple. And it's something that that's going to bring down our tax rates. I like the way he's attacked regulation and trying to make that more sensible and a better, more balanced. And I like the fact that our enemies are thinking twice before provoking us. So I think there's some things there that we can all learn from, and I want to take those to heart.
I want to ask you a little bit about the reality of running. The last Republican in Connecticut to defeat a sitting Democratic senator, I believe, was Prescott Bush back in the 1950s. It's been a while. Lowell Weicker won in a three-way race, but that was the last time we've had a Republican senator.
Right.
What's the path to victory for you?
So it's not supposed to be easy, right? This is hard work, and the path for me, the victory for me, is just like I approach anything in my life as a football coach or as a business person. I built a great team. I've got really smart people working for me, and we've got a great plan. All right, and that plan is going to unfold over time, and you'll see that we're taking this very seriously, and it's important because we need to succeed for Connecticut.
And I don't think it's a secret, certainly, that President Trump is not very popular in Connecticut, and some of the things that he has done and said recently, and you yourself has said that you don't care for maybe his tweeting. I mean, you're a big social media guy.
So I didn't say I don't care for it, but it's certainly not my style.
I mean, how can you say things, what we saw this week with Mika Brzezinski saying, her bleeding from a facelift. I mean, even the Republicans are crying out and saying, that's not the behavior that we expect from a president.
So that's Donald Trump's style. That's not mine. My style is to focus on Connecticut, and when I use social media, it'll be within my own style, with my own goals and objectives. And it's not my job to criticize the commander-in-chief.
Of Senator Murphy's vote since he's been in office, what are you most troubled by?
You know, what I'm most is the lack of money he's helped bring back to Connecticut. You know, we're a wealthy state. You know, we do very well. We send a lot of money to Washington, right? But we rank among the lowest in the entire union in terms of bringing that federal money back to Connecticut, and that to me is very troublesome. Our money's in Washington, and so what I want to do is go to Washington, get our money, and bring it back. I mean, we average like $13,500 per person. I mean, states like Delaware and Minnesota.
Joe Courtney has certainly done that with a lot of contracts for EB.
Well, so what has he done? He's taking the contracts now you say that he's brought in. Guess what? General Mad Dog Mattis decides what we buy in our military. He decides the submarines, the helicopters, the F-35s. That's done by the Department of Defense. Joe Courtney is just an order taker. He hasn't done anything to influence that. Those decisions are made in D.C. and now with his advice.
The last Republican nominee, Linda McMahon, lost the last 2 Senate races. What did you learn from her races that you will avoid doing this time?
Yeah, so one of my particular skill sets is that I have very much a retail personality, and I'm very good at engaging people at all levels, from the showroom to the boardroom. And so when I think I've learned from Linda, and I did some work in her campaign, and I'm sad that she didn't win, but she was going to be a great senator for us. But I learned that you need to engage people in a very strong way. And I have a listening tour going on throughout Connecticut. I was at the Fife and Drum Diner today, just meeting other people and listening and learning. So listening, asking questions, those are the things that I will do that will help me be better prepared for this race. And that's something I took away as a big plus.
How difficult do you think it is going to be to go up against Senator Murphy, who's obviously very well funded, and some would say liked?
Well, it comes back to my plan, right? I've built a plan. I have great staff with it. We're gonna watch that thing happen. And so the answer is it's going to be very difficult. But I've never in my life have I decided not to do something because it's hard. Right, the best rewards and my biggest accomplishments have come from going after the hard stuff and winning.
The polls show that Connecticut is, the majority of voters are dissatisfied with the governor, Governor Malloy. Now, of course, he's not going to be on your ballot, but he'll be in the minds of many people next year. Will you be running against him in any way and his record?
You know, when you look at for the last decade, the Democrats in general they've had all the advantages, right? They've had the federal delegation. They've had Hartford. They have all the tiebreakers now. So that team has had an experiment going for at least the last 6 years where they've had total control. So my opponent is Murphy, and it's against him that I'm laser focused, right? But everyone needs to understand, Connecticut voters are very smart, and they understand that, you know, there's something going on with the liberal experiment that's just not right. We need more balance. We need more perspective. We don't need more lawyers and millionaires down in Washington, D.C. So it will be, I think all those things are connected because they should have been working together, and I don't think they have.
How much money do you think you'll have to raise to be a formidable contender?
So, you know, the average spend of a Senate race in the United States, unfortunately, has gotten pretty high. It's about 10. Probably have about 18 million. But as we learned in the Georgia 6, candidates matter, right? Candidates are very important. And so that's what I need to focus on, being a really good candidate.
One of the big name Republicans in our state, many were hoping that he would run for governor, is Joe Scarborough. Have you had any conversations with him or advice from him?
No, I have not talked to Joe Scarborough. I talked to Dan Carter, and he
ran last time.
Oh, he's handed the baton off to me, and well, just an impressive person. And
I think a lot of people were surprised, and we heard from a lot of viewers during the debate that he certainly is very knowledgeable and held his own.
Oh, he was great. If he had more runway, I think he would have done very well. But he had a very short window to run, you know, from the primary in August, after the whole debacle with August Wolf. And he just didn't have enough runway. I've given myself 18 months, and I've been thinking about this for 7 months and preparing and learning and listening. So once again, I learned that from Dan, and it wasn't Dan's fault, but he would be a great candidate in the future for us.
Where do we go from here? Knocking on doors, raising money, going to fundraisers?
Fundraising. I'm making 50 to 100 phone calls a day. And you start with a Christmas card list, and you work out from there, and that's where it starts. So it's and then after that, the other thing I'm doing is I'm getting advice from a lot of other people who've run before.
Dominic Rapini, candidate for U.S. Senate. Thanks for being on the program.
Oh, guys, thank you very much. That's great.
In a moment, our Face the State flashback.
And we'd like to hear what you're thinking about today's program. You can tweet us right now or find us on Facebook or Instagram.